All right, awesome. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm gonna give a quick kind of just update on where we are with Karura and the latest, and then we've got Josh up here on stage who helps lead a lot of our community efforts and user operations. And then, like I said, Terry is joining us. He's one of the co-founders of the Taiga protocol, which is being built on Karura, of course, and then Tapio, which will be launching on Akala at a later date. So thank you both for joining us here.
Thanks, Dan.
Yep. So first, we'll keep this part quick. We wanted today to mostly be kind of a feature of Terry and let him kind of re-ground everybody in what they're building with Taiga, what the latest is with their protocol and their launch process and building out their community on Karura. But before we get into that, a couple updates on the Karura side. So one, the product team has been taking a lot of feedback from being funneled in from people like Josh that we hear from the community in the Discord. A lot of people have also contacted our team directly with feedback on the Karura dApps. So always feel free to give us that feedback. It's very valuable to us, and we really appreciate it. So the team has recently taken a lot of this feedback and incorporated some new UI UX changes that you may have noticed in the Earn tab. So take a look at that if you haven't. A lot more kind of organized in a couple of different ways to view any staking pools that you're in or any LP pools that you're participating in. Another thing is that we are definitely aware of the time that it has taken to bring more and more tokens from other parachains to Karura. This is definitely something that is not ideal to any of us. We've been as anxious as everyone else to get more tokens listed on Karura. The reality is that we have a lot of technical dependencies on the Kusama tech itself. If any of you are aware, the way it kind of works is we have to essentially like shake hands with the other parachain and open up this channel. It's called an HRML channel. And it turns out that this is actually pretty difficult technically to do. Even the best developers at these parachain teams, it takes them time. So because of that, it's just been a process for us to try to document this and make it as easy as possible to help teams open up these HRML channels with Karura so that we can have that bi-directional channel between our parachain and theirs. So we're working, as you know, Remark had a channel opened up with us between StateMine and Karura so that the Remark tokens could flow back and forth. We're also working on a few others, so pretty deep into testing with Moonriver, the Unique people, another team that I just recently found out about called Kiko, Kico. And several others are in the works right now with testing, opening up these channels, and then these tokens will also become listed on Karura. So definitely have heard the feedback on timing, but yeah, just trust that we're doing this as quickly as we can. We all want this to be kind of up and running as quickly as possible. So bear with us on that. If anyone has any other questions, I guess in general related to Karura or Akala, if you do, we'll take those at the end. I'm gonna go ahead after that brief introduction, just passing it over to Terry. So, like I said, Terry is the co-founder of Taiga and Tapio. He will explain what they're building. I've had a great time getting to know Terry and his team over the last few months as they've very impressively built a native dApp with Substrate, kind of built into the core of both Karura and Akala as a substrate palette. So they're already natively integrated with Karura and will also be natively integrated with Akala. And our teams have been collaborating across the board on technology, on community, branding, and so on. So it's been a great time getting to know their team and excited to have Terry on today to kind of walk us through the latest with Taiga.
Cool. Thanks,
Yep.
Dan. So hello, everyone from the Akala community. I want to spend a little bit of time today just to give everybody an update around what we've been doing at Taiga Protocol. So for those who actually joined the first event that we did with the Kala team, that was right before Christmas. It was our brand. It was our brand launch, and it was also the starting point for our first community event. So it's been over a month since we interacted with you guys. Figured it'd be a good time to re-engage and let you guys know what's going on, because we are actually preparing for a mainnet launch on the Karura testnet, which is going to be on March 1st, so coming up rapidly. I'll share more around the launch details towards the end of the call. However, for those who are new and haven't heard about Taiga previously, I just want to quickly, share with you guys what the project is about and what problems we are trying to solve. So very, very high level. Taiga is a synthetic asset protocol, and what it aims to do is it allows users to swap in and out of different versions of the same asset in the most efficient manner. So meaning low slippage, low fees, as well as ample of liquidity. So what that means is, in the .sama universe, there's multiple versions of the same assets. So for example, with KSM, there's LKSM, there's Crown KSM, and I believe, soon to be, there would be Liquid Crown KSM. So because these assets are all trading at a similar value, similar peg, our protocol allows users holding these assets to swap between them in a very efficient manner. So that's the underlying function that Taiga protocol offers. It's a native stable swap feature. But what we've sort of innovated on, on top of this swap function, is the synthetic asset. So if, let's say, a user is putting in any sort of asset into the stable swap pool, instead of getting an LP token, the user would receive a synthetic asset. In this case, for KSM, it would be called Thai KSM. And then Thai KSM can actually be used across the different primitives within the different DeFi primitives within the Karura dApp. So the first use case would be, the collateral function. And then, it can also be moved across chains, and Thai KSM can actually be used to help projects bootstrap their LP pool liquidity. So these are just some of the use cases. In the whiteboard, if you guys refer to the middle section, we've also outlined the specific use cases for the synthetic asset and the groups that we're targeting. So project teams, liquidity providers, traders, these are the folks that we're targeting. So I'll leave it there. I guess we can open up the floor for questions at the end. But just want to give anybody that's new, that's hearing us for the first time, a very quick high level on what Taiga protocol is. Right now, we're integrated to the Mandala testnet. So if you wish to see or interact with our protocol, you can do it directly on the Mandala testnet. And it's very simple. If, let's say, you make a trade between LKSM and KSM, you can actually see that function is being powered by our protocol. So what we're working towards is launching it on the Karura mainnet, because we've been on the testnet for more than a month now. And the next topic that I want to get into is our development since the brand reveal, which was right before Christmas. So sharing from two sides. First is the product side. What we've done over the past 6 to 7 weeks is we've been tweaking the swap formula behind the protocol. As I mentioned, the synthetic asset protocol is pretty much backed by a stable swap formula, and in this stable swap formula, there's a parameter that allows us to adjust, how efficiently we could actually utilize the underlying liquidity. This is the amplification coefficient parameter. So we spent a good chunk amount of time over the past few weeks to test out how we can maximize utility of liquidity by tweaking this parameter. Ultimately, tweaking this parameter allows for tighter slippage for traders, as well as greater earnings potentials for LPs, because increasing the parameter basically increases the range of the liquidity that can be used. So basically, the higher the parameter, the better the results for whether it's a trader or you're an LP. So we start the test with setting the parameter as 10, and we increased it all the way up to 50. And the conclusion is, our formula proves to be a highly efficient, stable pegging mechanism, because we were able, during this process, we were actually able to control the amount of new TAIKSM minted, which in our case would be a cost, by adjusting the parameter. But at the same time, we're able to control this cost and yet increase the utility of the liquidity of the liquidity pool. So very quickly, this exercise is very necessary for us to make sure the stable swap formula that powers the different pools of assets is highly stable and highly efficient. So this would be a test that we've done, and we will have a report on as well. For those who are interested, please join our Discord channel, and you guys can find it in our tech development update channel. So that's the first piece. The second piece is, Dan kind of mentioned, we're actually working on a standalone dApp for Taiga protocol. So that means, right now, users can sort of access the functions of Taiga through the testnet, and soon on the Karura dApp. But what we're also building is a standalone dApp that allows users to track the amount of TAIKSM minted, as well as to link to the different utility functions of TAIKSM. So we're currently working on building out this dApp. It will be launched in March, in the first 2 weeks of March. Right now we're forecasting. But again, for those who are interested in testing it out, right now it's on the Mandala testnet, and soon it will be up on the Karura testnet, Karura mainnet. So that's on the product side of things. And on the community side of things, I mentioned at the beginning of the call that we did a brand launch right before Christmas. And we also revealed the first community event, which was called Exploration Begins. So we ran the campaign for 3 weeks, and I want to share some results with you guys. In total, there are 19,000 verified participants that took part in the event. Close to 9,000 users have successfully qualified to receive a Taiga airdrop. And for the past campaign, the total amount of TAI reward that has been distributed across the 9K users are 280,000 Taiga tokens. So we've actually set aside 500,000 Thai rewards for the Karura community, because we want to leverage you guys and give you guys the exclusive benefits. So we actually what that means is we actually have another 220K Taiga tokens for you guys to for you guys to enjoy. So that leads me to my second segment, which is introducing our second community event, which is called Explore the Magical Trail. So shortly after this call, we will release the details to this event. But I just want to spend maybe a quick minute to explain what this event is about and how to participate. Okay, so I just shared, so that's a step-by-step tutorial. I just shared it in the community called Whiteboard. So going back to the event, the second event is we're excited to announce this event, Explore the Magical Trail. Ultimately, the objective of this event, again, as I mentioned, is to incentivize the remaining Karura users. So whether you are a Karura DeFi users, you've used any of the existing Karura DeFi applications previously, or if you are a Karura crowd loan participant, you are basically our main targets for this event. And aside from that, we also want to open up this event to anybody new to the community that's interested in participating. So these are the two main user groups that we're looking to onboard to our community. For those, again, for those who are existing Karura users, you guys will get exclusive rewards. However, I just want to point out that if you are a Karura user that have participated and received an airdrop from our initial event, you won't get an airdrop this event. But however, you will still be able to accumulate XP to further level up your roles. Okay, so in terms of rewards, there are 220,000 Thai tokens quota for this event. So the event is going to start on shortly after this call. We will post the details on our channels, and we will run this event for 2 weeks. It will end on the 23rd. And I guess the most important question is how to participate. So you guys can take a quick look into the Whiteboard channel. The second infographic that I shared basically outlines the steps to participate. So this event is actually quite simple. We're trying to build our community, further build our community. So there are two main missions in this event. You guys can go through the infographics, but I want to point out that before you do any of the missions, please log on to the link to the landing page and bind your Discord username with your information, including your wallet address, your email, as well as your Telegram. So last time when we were hosting the initial community event, we found a lot of users actually bypassed this step. They didn't realize they needed to bind their Discord usernames. So that led to a lot of the users, even though they completed the missions, they weren't able to receive the airdrop. So for this time around, please, before you do anything, bind your Discord handle with the account informations, and you should be able to get started with completing the missions. What you guys see in the second infographic. So to the right hand, So to the left-hand side, that's the landing page that you see, and there's a button, start exploring. And then once you click into that, it asks you to tie your Discord handle, and then once you authorize access, you'll see the form on the right-hand side, the one with the blue background that links your accounts. So we'll share the link with you guys after the call. But just to quickly recap about this event, it's called the Explore the Magical Trail, 220,000 Thai rewards, airdrop up for grabs, hoping to target existing Karura DeFi users, Karura crowd loan users, as well as anybody that's new and wants to be a part of our community. It will run for 2 weeks, starting shortly after our call. So be on the lookout for information for this event. And ultimately, this event is going to lead us up to the mainnet launch. So it will be pretty exciting to see, to see our channel grow, to see our community grow, and for you guys to participate sort of as the first batch of users in our mainnet. So moving on to the final segment, which is what we are expecting in the coming weeks. So I mentioned we are right now preparing for the Taiga mainnet launch on March 1st. So for this launch, the first synthetic asset or the first pool that we will be launching is the Thai KSM pool. So Thai KSM is composed of KSM and LKSM liquidity. So for those who are interested to take part in this launch, I would suggest you guys to prepare your KSM or LKSM liquidity. You can contribute to either side. It's not a fixed proportion pool, so you can contribute to either side, and contributing to the pool will result in getting Thai KSM, and you can further use that Thai KSM in different applications. So on the launch date on March 1st, we'll open up this pool and we'll open up the migration function as well. So what that means is for some of you guys who might be providing KSM and LKSM liquidity already on Karura, you can actually migrate that liquidity over onto Taiga protocol. The benefits of migrating, there's a few. First of all, you continue to earn the trading fees that gets generated between this swap trade. The second is we are actually designing an incentive campaign, and it'll be more than just getting Thai tokens. We are innovating on how we could incentivize sort of the first batch of liquidity providers, including the people that are migrating. I'm not going to spill too much on this call because just around the migration event, just around the migration, we will design another event to bootstrap that piece. So the details again would be shared in both channels, in both the Akala channel as well as our own channel. But what I can say is it'll be worthwhile for you guys to participate in the migration, as well as in the initial weeks of providing liquid KSM as well as LKSM liquidity to the pool. So that's that preparing for the launch is the first thing. The second is I kind of mentioned is we'll be rolling out our own dApp. And finally, one thing that we're working towards is the Tapio launch. So Dan mentioned at the beginning of the call, Tapio is basically our implementation on the Akala side. So since Akala has launched, things are picking up relatively quickly, and we're actually preparing for the Tapio launch as well. You may ask, you may be wondering like the biggest difference between Tapio versus Taiga. So for the biggest difference, I would say from a few areas, there's a few key differences. Number one is the synthetic assets that we are to roll out. Well, the schedule is slightly different. So for Taiga, obviously the first synthetic asset that we're rolling out is the Thai KSM asset. But for Tapio, the first asset that we're going to be rolling out is the dot asset. So it's going to be called tap dot, and the underlying constituents is going to be dot, liquid, L dot, and right now we're looking to add LC dot to it as well. So number one, the synthetic asset rollout schedule differs. And the second is in terms of the tokens. I guess that's what a lot of you guys are interested to hear about. The token distribution is also different. So for Taiga, it's we want to make it as much as a community-owned protocol as we can, because we're experimenting a lot of the functions, as well as experiencing with different ways of going to the market. So for the Taiga tokens, we are doing our best to try to get it into the right hands or addresses in this case. So that gives us a lot of flexibility around how we can sort of get the community involved. And basically, during this whole process, get your feedback on how to further enhance our product, so we can, basically leverage that and build that and build some of those, incorporate some of those feedback into the Tapio protocol. So on the token distribution side, you can see there's a much wider distribution for the community for Taiga. And finally, for Taiga, it's just offers a much bigger design space around how we can work with partners as well, because that's also the final things that we're currently not final, but that's also another thing that we're currently looking into, is onboarding other partners to the protocol. Obviously, building on top of Akala as well as Karura has been super beneficial. But we're also looking into, besides the KSM liquidity, we're also looking into stable coins right now. So we're working with partners that could potentially bring stablecoin liquidity into the Karura ecosystem, and we're designing a synthetic asset solution around the stablecoin piece. So those are just a couple of things that that we can all look forward to, and those are basically the main things that I wanted to cover and share with you guys on this call.
Awesome, thanks, Terry. So yeah, we've got a lot of new information here. So some updates to Taiga, your dApp launch coming potentially soon in March, the Magical Trail event. So the best place to find the information on that event would be, I assume, to go to your Discord and then look for an announcement there, maybe soon after this call.
Correct.
Right? Cool. And then, look out for new incentives coming for early liquidity providers when that goes live. And then, lots of information about Tapio too. So I'm sure everyone will be on the lookout for token distribution info and information on TapDot, because there's a lot of people who have LC dot that I think will be interested in that, as well as future LDOT holders and of course all the dot holders out there. Cool. So I think people probably have questions, and I'll go ahead and just open up the floor. If anyone has questions for Terry or really any questions in general, I'm happy to help.
Hey, thank you for the information, and I'm very excited for the first liquidity pool to open. I have one question regarding LDOT and LKSM. I'd be interested in becoming a staking infrastructure provider for that, and I was wondering if there are any steps I should take to that effect. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, so for LKSM, this has been kind of a slow rollout process. What we're looking to do is to make this as I guess open and run by the community as possible with very little kind of overhead on the Akala side. So the LKSM validator set will essentially be selected automatically by the protocol based on certain kind of ranking functionalities that are already built in to the way that Kusama validators are ranked. And then we're thinking the same thing for Akala. So for the Akala LDOT validators, it'll just be the simple ranking system that Polkadot already uses for essentially prioritizing validators who meet certain criteria, such as uptime, avoiding slashes, and things like that. So if you want, Nicholas, I can follow up with you with a specific link that I can pull with exactly how that works. But that's kind of the general gist of it.
So by these ranking systems, you mean the 1000 validator program or some native on-chain ranking system?
Like the on-chain point system that Polkadot and Kusama use.
Thank you.
All right, we've got one more question. Hey, Saffron.
This is Saffron. I want to know, can you tell us about 3 benefits of Taiga?
Hey, hi, Saffron. Did you say the benefits of
protocol? What are the main benefits of using Taiga protocol?
Yeah, sure. So I actually, you know, if you refer to the whiteboard, I actually shared an infographics. And you know, in the middle section, we actually outlined some of the use cases. I kind of covered the gist of it at the start of the call, but I guess I can just quickly share it with you again. So basically, the Taiga protocol is a synthetic asset protocol. However, it's backed by a stable swap engine. So this stable swap engine, you know, is designed to do efficient swap between assets with the similar value peg. So let's say, you know, you're holding KSM and you want to swap it into LKSM. You can do it in a very efficient manner under the Taiga protocol engine. Okay, so this is just the base layer function that our protocol offers. But because, you know, on top of that, if let's say you're an LP, you are providing KSM or LKSM liquidity into the pool, what you'll get in return is a synthetic asset. Okay, it's called Tai KSM, and with this synthetic asset, you can understand it as it retains the underlying benefits of the constituents. So let's say, you know, right now you're generating yield on LKSM. That yield actually gets rolled up into Tai KSM. So number one, Tai KSM allows for it can be used across the different DeFi applications within the Karura dApp. It can be moved across, you know, different parachains. And number three is obviously, you know, you would retain the underlying benefits of, let's say, you know, LKSM or soon to be, you know, LC liquid crowd on KSM. So you're ultimately unlocking you're unlocking more usability of the asset without sacrificing any of the additional original benefits. That's the main value proposition of the synthetic asset. And then, you know, at the base layer, you know, you can use it as a swap, as a swap function, as a swap protocol, swapping efficiently between the different assets. So those are the two main benefits. I'm not sure if that answers your question.
Thank you, Terry. Good luck.
Great. Thanks, Saffron.
Terry, I had one question on that graphic. In the section about project teams, it says that you can rent liquidity from the protocol. So let's say there's a team building a DEX on Karura, and they have a KSM pair. So what would that actually look like? How would a team go about renting KSM liquidity from Taiga, and what would that look like?
Great question. So this is actually for this specific use case, the problem that we are trying to solve is to help project teams to bootstrap their LP pool. And the LP pool is going to be made up of the team's native token and pairing that against a sort of a more stable asset. In this case, if we're building in the Kusama ecosystem, it will be KSM. So if let's say the project's team's native token is called XYZ, for example, they would want to pair XYZ with KSM liquidity, so then they can offer their traders basically a good way to sort of swap in and out of the token. So this is where we come in. Because we've identified that obviously it's quite costly for teams to put up liquidity on both sides. So putting up their native token, they may have a treasury to do that. But on the other side, if let's say it's KSM, they would need to raise KSM, or they would need to buy KSM. Just so then that they could pair that, or they can design really attractive incentive programs to let liquidity providers to provide the KSM side. However, this leads to the problem of mercenary liquidity, meaning that it's very difficult to stay within your protocol. So this is where we come in, because as I mentioned, if let's say you have minted Thai KSM via Taiga protocol, I mentioned a couple of times that with Thai KSM, you can actually use it across the different financial applications, within Karura. You can borrow it against Thai KSM for KUSD. But let's say you have no particular use case at the moment. You just want to hold on to it. You just want to hold on to Thai KSM. So one way for you to earn, on top of, just by holding, Thai KSM on top of the original underlying benefits, is you can contribute your Thai KSM back into a common pool, and this common pool is served as rental liquidity for some of these project teams. So instead of the projects, having to raise the KSM liquidity on their own, or design these really outrageous / attractive incentive programs, they can actually borrow from the common pool. So once that liquidity gets rented out to the project teams, it will pair with their native token to support the traders that wishes to trade in and out of that pair. So XYZ versus Thai KSM. And the fees that gets generated, a portion of that goes back to the users who are providing Thai KSM to the common pool. So that serves as an additional sort of earnings potential for people that are holding as well as contributing Thai KSM to sort of that rental liquidity pool.
Okay, really cool. So if you have you can basically stake your KSM, get LKSM, and then contribute your LKSM to get Thai KSM, and then contribute that again to this common pool, and then earn additional from the fees that are being generated from that liquidity being rented out.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Cool. Thanks for the explanation. We've got a few more minutes. Anyone else have questions for Terry, or any other general questions on Karura or Akala? Happy to answer them. Oh, someone just asked, when is Taiga coming to Karura? So, Terry, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, of course. So Taiga is actually launched on the Mandala testnet right now. So if you're interested in trying out the protocol, I would recommend you to go on to the Mandala testnet. Where you can find us on the Mandala testnet is underneath the swap function. So if let's say you're making a swap between KSM and LKSM, you can actually see at the bottom it's powered by us. It's kind of hidden right now, but that's by design because we will be rolling out our own dApp soon. So that's where we're integrated right now. On March 1st, we will be going on to the Karura mainnet. So if you are currently providing KSM or LKSM liquidity to the Karura DEX pool, then you can actually start to migrate your LKSM or KSM liquidity onto the Taiga protocol. So we'll open that up on March 1st, and that also marks the official launch of Taiga on Mainnet.
Cool. Tim asked, how is the peg maintained between potentially 3 to 4 layers of synthetics?
Yeah, Tim. That's a really good question. So this is where at the start of the call, I explained a little bit around a lot of the research efforts that we were doing for the past couple of weeks around adjusting the amplification coefficient, which is the A parameter. So ultimately, Taiga protocol is backed by the stable swap formula, and every time we add a new asset to the pool, if let's say it's a it's a pool that makes up of 3 assets or 4 assets, we would need to first evaluate the sizing between these assets, and then once we have an understanding of the sizings, then we can actually make the adjustments to the amplification coefficient factor, making sure that the liquidity that gets put into this pool can actually unleash sort of the maximum trading that can support the maximum trading range. But ultimately, it's a model that we took some inspirations from the curve model, except for the fact that the actual use case of it is much more diverse. So instead of just returning users with the LP token, we give users a synthetic. Okay, so for those who are just listening, the question from Nick is Taiga aiming to combine all derivatives of an asset, say dot, to solve what Sunny's looking for? Instead of L dot, LC dot, dot, and some other form of dot, we'll just have one dot pool to have clean. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, I didn't I didn't I wasn't aware of the exact sort of mission for osmosis, but just by looking at your question, the answer is yes. The answer is no, because Taiga is serving KSM liquidity, and Tapio serves the dot liquidity. So, but no, the concept is accurate. It's in line. So with Tapio dot, tap dot, we are working on a pool that basically integrates dot, L dot currently. And right now we're working on adding, LC dot to it as well. So that, ultimately what we're trying to do is, we have sort of this version of synthetic dot that rolls up the different versions of dot. You like a lot of users might wonder, why is that even a good thing? And to simply ask that, right? You can think about from an ecosystem point of view or from a project's point of view. If let's say a dApp or a builder needs to support or integrate all these different versions of dot. It's actually quite I don't want to say troublesome, but it's actually quite fragmented for them to do such a thing. And from a user's point of view, the users would always be, comparing between the different versions and say, okay, which one should I hold, or which one should I use? Which one is a better version? So for us, the proposition is very simple. We want to create sort of like the most usable or the best version, without sacrificing any of the underlying benefits. So that's why with tap.dot, the goal is to integrate the different versions, so then you can from a user's perspective, holding tap.dot basically means that you are you would still get the underlying rewards or staking incentives as LC.dot or LDOT, but at the same time you can actually use that tap.dot across dApps or move it into other parachains. And in the grand scheme of things, we once we figured out how to integrate different types of, I guess, derivative assets, we want to standardize this practice and basically present it to other parachain projects as well, because one thing that's unique about the Polkadot or Kusama ecosystem is that it has multiple parachains, and we can already see that a lot of parachains will sort of work on their own version of crowd loan based dot or KSM. So this is actually a major pain point that we found out from talking to different parachain teams. And this is also one of the reasons why we are working so closely with the Akala team to sort of design this synthetic asset, because we want to sort of come up with the best practice so that we can actually share this with the other parachains so they can just adopt this. So this common standard, basically. But it's long-winded, but what you kind of proposed in the question is yes.
Awesome. So we're at the top of the hour, so we're going to have to end it here. So thanks everybody for coming. This actually was recorded, as it is every week that we do these calls. So if you want to listen to the recording or share it with somebody, this will be uploaded to the Akala YouTube channel pretty shortly. And yeah, just thanks Terry for coming on. This is a lot of really helpful information. I definitely learned some new things, and I think everyone's going to be excited to get kind of started in your new program. So good luck with the launch, and thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Dan. We'll be releasing the information now as we speak. So thank you guys. It's always good to talk to you guys.
Great. Thanks everybody. Have a good night or a good day.
Bye.